Today my guest is Douglas Crockford. Douglas, how are you?
Great.
Thanks for being on my show.
You bet.
I've been in my reviews since I read your book, JavaScript, The Good Parts, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen a slide with that next to the JavaScript book, comparing
That's
the
a
sides.
definitive guide, yeah.
That one joke about how the good parts are this much and the whole thing is that much. It's still gets a laugh. And we're here at Midwest JS, and you were talking about a new project you're working on.
Yeah, the Seif project.
That's Seif.
That's right.
Does that stand for something?
It's not an English word, at least
Oh.
not that I've discovered. It's an Arabic word,
Meaning?
meaning a sand dune that is aligned with the direction of the wind.
Okay. And does that have anything to do with the product?
I like the sound of it.
Okay, fair enough. What is the Seif project?
The Seif project is an attempt to turn the web into a secure application delivery system.
How does it do that?
It provides a new set of services that can be packaged into an application framework that can be embedded in a web browser. And the services provide for cryptography, for the Seif protocol, which is secure JSON over TCP, and a completely different way of doing presentation, which or completely different compared to the web. It's very conventional compared to everything else.
Well, let's start. What's the problem here? What is the web doing wrong that we need to solve?
The web was designed to be a distributed document retrieval system.
Right.
And it worked brilliantly at that.
Sure.
Anybody can open up a web server, and anybody with any browser can connect to it and retrieve documents. And that worked really, really well.
Yep.
The place where it doesn't work so well is if you want to do something that's not a document, that is an application.
And that's what it's evolved to. That's what it's become.
We're primarily using the web now as an application delivery system.
Right.
And it works really badly at that. And for the simple reason that it wasn't designed to do that. So very clever people have found ways to force it to work.
Right.
But you really feel that force when you're working
Sure.
with it.
JavaScript is, of course, one of those ways.
Well, it is. So JavaScript is like the ultimate workaround tool. You know, whatever is wrong with the web architecturally, and there's huge that's wrong with it, with enough JavaScript you can kind of make it work anyway. And that's what we've been doing now for years and years. And it doesn't ever seem to get easier. And so we've got new frameworks. Every year or two there's a new one, and you have to get on that
Every
and learn it.
hour or two. There's a
Yeah, and they're all completely incompatible with each other, so migrating forward is really hard, and nothing that we have yet is adequate for what we want to do. And so there's all this, the process of making web applications is just way, way too difficult. But I'm more concerned with the problem of how do we make these things secure.
Okay.
That we're doing more and more of everything on the web. You do your banking, you do your shopping, you do communication with your doctor. All of that stuff is happening online in the web, and the browser is not adequate for protecting those relationships.
Okay. Well, we do have some things. We have SSL, and we have OAuth, and we have ways of authenticating and giving authorization. But that's insufficient, you're saying?
It's insufficient. I mean, it's way too easy to steal someone's password.
Okay.
The easiest way to get someone's password is to ask, "What's your password?"
Right.
And people type it in. And partly it's because we've got these systems that routinely ask people to type in their passwords at unexpected times. And they think they're making it more secure by doing that, but what they're really doing is training their users to give up their passwords every time they're asked.
Right. Oh, so how does Seif solve that?
We're getting rid of the passwords.
No more passwords. Okay.
No more passwords. So
We need to replace it with something.
with public key cryptography,
Okay.
which is what it was intended for. And we've been using it now for decades, but we haven't been using it well. And so if you have public key cryptography, you shouldn't also be asking people for passwords.
Okay.
Right? The public keys should be sufficient for proof of identity.
So each of us will have our own keys rather than our own username password. Is that the idea?
Yeah, so we will provide you software that you will use to generate your own public-private key pair.
Okay.
And it's important that you generate it yourself, because I don't trust anyone to generate it for you.
Sure.
And so one of the difficulties in doing that stuff well is having enough entropy in your random number generator, because your key is going to be 521 bits long. So it's big, which gives us confidence that we can create keys that are globally unique.
Mhm.
That's a really, really big number.
Right.
But in order for that to be effective, we need to be able to distribute keys over that entire space.
Okay.
In order to do that, we need to have really, really good random numbers, much better quality of randomness than we currently get from programming languages and operating systems.
I see.
So we're providing that. And in order to see those generators, we'll be harvesting entropy from your camera and your microphone
Hmm.
in order to make sure that the numbers we're getting are unique to you.
Interesting. Well, my camera, micro. So my computer may not have those two things, and then I may change computers though. Is that a factor?
You only need to generate it once.
Okay, it's just at the time that you happen to generate.
At the time that you make
Okay.
your key, you need to be on a device that has those. We're also looking at making a random device that would go on a USB key.
So
that
like two-factor authentication kind of thing.
Well, no, just another way of seeding the entropy. So
Oh, I see.
it'd be a little random number generator that looks like a file system, and you plug it into one of our systems, and then we'll pull the entropy out of that.
I see.
But we haven't built that yet, and I'm not sure that we need to, because
When you say we, who are you talking about?
me and my guys, I've got a couple of really smart guys on this project.
Okay, you all work for PayPal, right?
We all work for PayPal.
Okay, but the project is not really a PayPal project, right?
It's not a PayPal project. We're doing it as an open source research project. So PayPal is not claiming any ownership of any of the IP. They're not instructing us to do any specific thing. It's not going to phone home to PayPal. PayPal has no central point of anything in this architecture. They're just very generously giving us permission to do the right thing.
Okay. What about implementation? How will people be able to use this technology?
Well, it's all open source, and so anyone who wants to can go to GitHub and pull this stuff off and start working with it. It's a very generous license, so they can use it for any purpose. It's the MIT license, which means that really the only restriction is that they not sue us and that they keep the MIT license in the source code.
Okay. But I mean, is it designed for browser applications, or web services, or application to application, or email, or what? How is or all the above?
Our end goal is to do a new kind of browser application.
Okay.
So you'll have a safe component which we're trying to convince perhaps Microsoft to embed it into the browser, make it standard equipment. This would be a really nice thing for Edge to have, for example.
Okay.
And then servers need to be constructed, doing the server side of this protocol. But the protocol is more general than that. It could be connecting any pair of things.
Okay.
So ultimately, the Seif protocol might be the thing that we want to have the cloud running on.
Okay. So if I could use it today if I'm building applications that talk across the internet, is that right?
Well, Seif isn't complete yet. So
okay.
The first part, which does the cryptography, that part is done.
Okay.
The second part, which is the protocol, which can do a secure handshake in one round trip and allow for asynchronous messaging in a full duplex manner, that's done. Then the other components are still in development.
Okay. It seems like you'd be easier to convince Microsoft and Safari and Chrome and all those others browser manufacturers if you've got the W3C on board. Are you talking to them at all?
No, I'm not. And it's because we're still in a research phase.
Okay.
And I think it is irresponsible to try to put research in a standards process,
I see. Okay.
although we see that happening all of the time.
Oh, sure. Especially in the web. That's probably
Yeah,
very reactive.
yeah. Someone will make up some crazy thing and say that should be a standard,
Right.
And WC3 allows that as long as they keep paying the fees. I don't believe in that. So until we have, what I think standards should be doing is codifying accepted practice.
Okay.
And so I want to, and we're not to the point where we can do that yet. So after
Okay.
we get it all done and we prove it works and we find that people want to use this, then we say it's time to make this a standard.
Okay. Where can people learn more about Seif?
They can go to safe.place,
Hmm?
and that will direct them to GitHub, where they can see the 2 components that we've already released.
Safe place, I like that. And the people, it's open source, people can contribute to this.
It's open source, and we would very much like contributions.
Okay.
So currently, all of the people working on the project are working for PayPal, but there is no requirement of the project or PayPal that that be the case. So if other people would like to contribute, that would be great.
Do you have a timeline? Do you anticipate when this will be ready for production?
I do, and I'm not telling anybody,
Okay, all right.
because I believe that good software takes time,
Okay.
and if you try to make it take less time, it takes more time.
Yeah.
And so I'm not telling anybody what my timeline is, because I don't want to be held to it. We're actually doing very good on it, but I'm afraid if I announce this is when we're going to be done, then we will be forced to ship at that time, even if it's
Well,
not
I
good
won't hold
enough.
you to your estimates.
Well, no, but somebody will.
Somebody will, that pointy-haired boss somewhere.
So right now, I have the luxury of keeping my schedule
Uh,
private, and I'm going to keep doing that as long as I can get away with it.
but you have to tell me the secret to making that happen. Because I can write that picture.
I believe that that's how all software should be developed.
I'm totally preaching to the choir, brother.
And somehow I am in this really lucky place where I can do things right.
Excellent. Is there anything we haven't talked about that we should?
Well,
About Seif?
That's a talk about Seif. That's the main. Oh, so the Seif client part, the browser part,
Yes.
will be made out of 2 existing technologies:
What's that?
Node.js,
I know that.
that you've probably heard of, and Qt,
I don't know that.
that you might not have heard of. Qt is an application framework that was developed in Norway, which was part of Nokia for a while, but is now open, and it's programmable in JavaScript. It is brilliant. It's really straightforward. It's a very, very nice way of doing UIs and applications. And it's very capable. You can do everything in Qt, but we're not going to do everything in Qt.
I
We're
see.
going to use it only for its graphic capabilities and its UI interactivity. And we're going to take everything else that's in it and strip it out. And similarly with the Node stuff, Node has grown to be a very, very complex system.
Sure.
And we're going to strip all of that out.
Hmm.
So all that's going to be left is the event loop and TCP, and we'll probably redo the file system stuff and a little bit of stuff.
Hmm.
So we'll have these 2 systems, and by stripping them down, it'll be much easier to reason about their security,
I see.
because there's not all this extra stuff on it that
There's
could go
no
haywire.
much surface area to
Yeah,
attack.
exactly. We're reducing the surface area so that, and then those 2 things will communicate with each other through JSON messaging.
Hmm.
So half of your application will be running in the Node part, and that will be able to talk to the file system and be able to talk to your server, but it will not be able to talk to the user. In order to do that, you need to hop over into the Qt space, and then you'll have guys who can talk to the user, but they cannot talk to the file system, they cannot talk to the operating system, they cannot
Okay.
talk to the network. They have to do that through the other presence.
Right. So sandboxed area.
Yeah, so we're taking the sandboxing idea, we're calling them VATs.
Okay.
Because we've seen sandboxes leak,
Sure.
and I have a cat, I'll tell you, you don't want
Sandbox
that.
leak. Let's not take that metaphor too far.
So we've got these VATs, and the VATs communicate through JSON messaging.
Is that an acronym, VAT?
Uh,
Sounds like it is.
We haven't figured it out yet.
Okay.
VAT is just an industrial container.
Oh, okay, all right.
Where you mix stuff, and hopefully
Got
things
it.
can't get out except,
What you want
as
is
you
through the
want it
faucet.
to. So we've got these VATs, and we can have multiple VATs representing multiple parties. So there could be a presence that represents me or my service, and a presence that represents your service, and we can both be on the screen, both be working for each other, but we cannot compromise each other. So that's something we've been wanting to do for a long time. We used to call it mashups, where we can have things representing multiple parties that are all working together.
Right.
Without requiring any extraordinary trust of one party of another.
Hmm.
And so we'll be able to do that.
Okay. And you have an online presence as well outside of this? Like a blog and...
I've been doing, I used to have a blog on Yahoo, and then they killed that,
Oh,
which made me sad.
oh,
I'm
there's
now
some books.
I'm now on Google Plus, and that's working okay.
Douglas Crockford, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. technology, friends,